without further ado, in this horrible lighting, I really do apologize for bad lighting. Hopefully you all will stick with me though on this top 20, because there's a lot of cool stuff that came out in 2020, and it's got to be wrapped up, right? So I don't have a lot of props with me, by the way. A lot of these I have more on digital release rather than physical. Usually I try to get more physical, but it's how it worked out. Also interesting to see how the dynamics of the composition of this list came about. I thought probably making it at first that it would have had more metal, just because I'm a big metal fan lately of a lot of the newer stuff, new thrash, etc. There are a couple of metal ones in here. There's a lot of synth, a lot of EBM, a lot of techno, experimental techno, mostly interesting techno. So I'm going to kick it off. Number 20 is a compilation. It's the only compilation in the top 20, and it's from one of my favorite labels out of Greece called Pi, P-I, and it's a sub-label from Modal Analysis, which is also a fave label of mine. They put out a compilation called Divide and Rule in 2020. It's 13 songs, 1 hour and 11 minutes. It is available on vinyl, 2x 12-inch CD, and a digital release. So I might have my eye out there for that on vinyl or CD. I've got the digital for now. A lot of tracks on there. I really dig Shack Attack by Poison Green, 831.16 by artist named Lycurgus, and Aegeus Zonas from Conductor, which is a pretty cool artist I've been getting into as well. So like I said, out of Greece, the Pi label, Divide and Rule, that's my number 20. That's how we're going to start off this list. I would give that a rating of 8 of 10, but you know what? I think almost everything in this list is 8 and above out of 10. So we'll keep going. Number 19 on my list. Let's get some water. Is this record on Dark Entries, right? Dark Entries. It's got a 2019 date on it, 2020, 2019. I guess it's going to qualify. Fortune Isolation by Boracide. 9 songs, 45 minutes. It's an experimental electronic, dark, synth, melancholy, post-punk. I find it sounds a little bit like a Depeche Mode, actually, in some ways, like a slightly more experimental Depeche Mode. It's that good. Standout tracks on this are Lament, Fortune Isolation in brackets, and Time brackets No Time, 2 of my fave songs on this album. But overall it's quite good. This is only the second album by this artist, who's a DJ apparently in Romania. I've got a couple of Romanian artists, it looks like, on the list this year, so that's pretty cool to hear new stuff out of that part of the world. But he also has several singles and EPs as well. So, yeah, that's coming in at 19 for me. Boracide. Can't really pronounce it very well, but the album's called Fortune Isolation on Dark Entries. That's 19. So 18, I decided to go with Stryborg. I almost put this in my honorable mentions out of the top 20. I don't think it's his strongest release, but this guy, you've always got to check out his stuff every year. I really love this artist. He's a black metal turned synth wave, dark wave artist, right? And he's one of these solo artists, does everything all by himself out in the woods somewhere, deep in a forest, I think in New Zealand or something. Can't be Australia. They wouldn't have a forest, would they? This album, his latest one, is 7 tracks, 40 minutes long. It's called Unknown Entities, and I think it's only digital at this point. But I did last year, I got a Stryborg cassette that was excellent from this artist on Clandestine's label, I think. Carl Clandestine. Just checking the lighting here. Apologize again for that. Maybe it's a little too shiny. Let's see if we can turn that down. Okay. Yeah, got to keep it in the dark here for this top 20. So Stryborg's my number 18. Unknown Entities. Like I said, it crosses the boundaries between black metal and cool underground synth, dark wave, and ambient. It's a one-man band. Check it out. definitely worth picking up. That's my number 18. Number 17, I'm going with something that has been released on vinyl, I think, as well as cassette, and it's from another favorite label of mine lately, Detriti Records, from Europe, maybe from Italy or Germany, I'm not sure, but the artist is Carl Cave with K, spelled with a K, and Solitude. This is the 19th release on Detriti Records, and this label is hot. They've got tons of releases, especially in 2020. They had a whole bunch. I've got 2 of them in this list, actually. But this Carl Cave one is pretty funny. It's a cool. It's funny because the vocal is very deep vocals, serious over this EBM industrial synth wave. Super catchy hooks. Try getting Talk 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 out of your head after you listen to it, or the synth riff on Comet, which is the track that follows it. Been playing this one a lot since I got it on Bandcamp. I played around the shop a lot too, so if you come into Possible Worlds, you might hear Talk 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 anyway, or 1 or 2 of these Carl Cave tracks. So yeah, Carl Cave, Solitude on Detriti Records is my number 17. Number 16, I have the cassette for this, but I didn't seem to locate it in time for this video. But number 16 is on Opal Tapes, a great solid label for ambient experimental music out of the UK. And the artist is Kazuma Kubota. I think I'm spelling that right or saying that right. Kazuma Kubota. The album's called Mind. It's 3 tracks. It's quite short. It's actually more of an EP. It's 22 minutes long, and it's really cool tracks. They're very ambient. It's got this abstract kind of cover, white on black. I really like, and quality. Yeah, very mellow at the beginning. And then I think the second track actually has a few things that come in over the ambience. Then the third track, the final one, just it starts off very mellow and then just kind of goes crazy with some drills and laser sounds. So it's a fun ride. It's a great tape, something I would play multiple times. This is a Japanese noise artist that's been releasing work for a while, actually since 2008, looks like, from Discogs. And Opal has put out a lot of releases this year, but this was one of the ones that I picked up and actually ordered the cassette, which cost me probably an arm and a leg in shipping because it came from overseas. But pick that up. Check it out on Bandcamp. Kazumo Kubota, Mind, Opal Tapes. Number 15 for me, I'm going to go punk. I'm going to go hardcore punk for once in this list. It's a 7-inch release, which I don't think I actually got the 7-inch. I just got the Bandcamp download, and it's super, super short. The band's called Fragment. They're Canadian as well. They're from Halifax, I think. Serial Mass Destruction EP by Fragment. 5 tracks, and I would say in total, this can't be any more than 6 minutes. So you're looking at 5 songs in 6 minutes. This is a blast, literally. And it's definitely the kind of punk that I love. It's hardcore punk, but really noisy. There's so much noise, in fact, that it almost gets like harsh wall noise, a little bit. It just sort of bleeds, whereas, stuff just sort of bleeds over everything. And the guitar and the vocals are just trying to barely keep up with the drums. And it's just awesome, basically. It came out early, or actually, yeah, it came out early in the year, but they actually just released something again in November 23rd of 2020. One more song, I guess. They could have fit it on this 7-inch of 6 minutes. But so cool on the band. They're definitely still working on stuff, releasing stuff. They got a new song that's Name Your Own Price. But I would definitely recommend Serial Mass Destruction by Fragment. Look it up on Bandcamp. Pretty fun ride right there. That's my number 15. Number 14, I'm going to go a little bit more traditional, although hard, harsh techno for 14. Fairly well-known Greek artist again. He's from Thessaloniki, Endlek, Endlec. And his EP, SKG for Life EP. So that's Skate. I don't know. SKG for Life EP on Inner Surface Music, which I'm familiar with the label. They had a really great double pack techno compilation a little while back, a couple years ago, This one came out in February of 2020, so early in the year, and the artist's real name is Tessos Androitis from Thessaloniki. He's had a lot of releases, including this year. I'm picking this one, though, because it's pretty brutal, hard-hitting. I'd like to get the vinyl, actually. Apparently there's a blue vinyl version of this. As for the songs, there's 4 tracks in total. Stronger Than Fear is probably my favorite on this one. It's a quick energy, fast gallop. There's a Macaton Cordyceps remix also that's quite good. So yeah, overall, solid EP, solid release. If you're looking for some hard-hitting techno, Endlich has got what you need, and I put that at 14. So 13, I'm going to go with J.K. Flesh, who some of you may know is from the industrial metal band Godflesh. I actually am not that familiar with Godflesh, believe it or not. I think it's kind of maybe from a different era than my tastes or background in industrial, which tends to be 80s. And probably should be smacked for that. Maybe I'll have to get into some more Godflesh, but JK Flesh, I'm really enjoying his stuff. This is a solo side project stuff that he's doing. This is on Hospital Productions, so Vatican Shadow's label. Depersonalization he put out in 2020. It's 8 songs, 47 minutes long. I only have a digital of this. It's all good lo-fi goodness from J.K. Flesh, including the title track. Depersonalization is really good. Track kind of bubbles up from underneath. Other standout tracks on this is This Me and Two Dimensional, which are really good distorted techno bangers. Disassociation is also good too, with a searing synth sound. So, I mean, overall, you can't go wrong with this. Looks like it came out in July, and it's available. Yeah, it's kind of a weird formatting they've got. They've got like a double cassette for this 47-minute album, fair enough. And with vinyl, I'm not sure if it's a 12-inch, but there's definitely a 7-inch included, which I saw online that some people have talked about. It's unplayable because it doesn't have a hole in the middle. So interesting packaging idea. There is a bonus cut, and if you go on the website for the Bandcamp, for Hospital, you'll find the bonus cut, which is a remix by Dominic Furno, aka Vatican Shadow. It's actually a project of Vatican Shadow and LoJack called Rainforest Spiritual Enslavement, doing the remix. So JK Flesh, Depersonalization on Hospital, that's my 13th pick. Number 12 is a little surprising to me because I think I only discovered it in the last couple of days while I was doing research for this thing. Discovered it, picked it up, liked it right away. DYL is the artist, and the album's called ACVATIC, so Akvitic. It's on Diffuse Reality. It's 11 songs, and it's a full hour, 59 minutes. The artist is Edward Costea. He's a DJ and apparently a drum and bass producer, although this is not a drum and bass release, from Romania. So here's the Romanian again, Romanian connection. He's delivered this full length, which I think none of the songs have song titles. They're all like kind of just numbered. But it's a lot of cool, minimal, dark sounds, IDM and techno, fairly ambient, fairly minimal. There's 8 tracks untitled in there, plus 3 remixes, actually. Including some pretty cool remixes too. So it's a really good listen. DYL, Akvitic on Diffuse Reality. I recommend that one. That's my number 12. So just above that, as we get closer to the top 10 here, I'm going to try to wrap this up fast as I can. Number 11, I'm going with Vatican Shadow. Maybe no surprise, but since I'm into some industrial stuff and this guy is very talented and prolific, to be fair, all of his many aliases. Vatican Shadow is a really cool project, though. Super political. All the song titles tend to be about military and politics and U.S. sort of global political ambitions. A lot of Middle Eastern escapades, etc., of the U.S. Pretty much all instrumental tracks, but the titles and the album covers, they all depict a certain era, sort of the Gulf War and beyond. And this one's no different. So this is called Persian Pillars of the Gasoline Era. It's not on his own label, Hospital, but it's on 20 Buck Spin. Not sure where that label is out of, but this is a really cool album. Very dramatic, sounds like a movie score, pretty much. A lot of these EPs do. And this is the latest one from him for 2020. I'd say tracks 1, 2, and 6 of this one are my favorite of the bunch. That's Pre-Dawn Coup d'Etat, Schwarzkopf Duffel Bags of Reals, Rehearsing the Attack, and the rather sweeping track, Ayatollah Ferocity, The Refinery at Abadan. Heavy as Always, Vatican Shadow also released another EP in this year, a 5-song EP called Temple Gas Mask in 2020, which is a collaboration with Salford Electronics. It's more of a singles EP that I found. It's not bad, though. It's on Hospital. A couple of standout tracks on that one as well. So overall, it's brooding, and it sounds like Vatican Shadow, right? So if you've heard them, you know what you're getting. It's kind of movie score-esque, and that's my number 11. So moving on to number 10, I'm going to go back into the metal world and what was really a killer thrash metal album of the year by these guys, Warbringer. So Weapons of Tomorrow by Warbringer. 10 songs, 51 minutes, an absolute masterpiece of current modern thrash. Riffs for days, great vocals and production. Really like this band. I've got a bunch of their albums. This is their 6th album, I guess, in total from this West Coast band. They've been around since 2008, or releasing since 2008. Their last one was 2017. I think I picked that one up as well. It's actually produced by a Canadian producer based out of Vancouver, Meek Plotnikoff, who produced the last one as well, and he's produced Fear Factory and a whole bunch of pop artists as well. So the production's like top notch, and the riffs are top notch, and get it basically. I put so in the end of the day, this one ranked higher than both the Havoc and the New Testament albums. If I was just doing a top 10 metal, I would be putting this one close to the top. But this is an overall top 20, so it's coming in at number 10 for me. Number 9, I've got Interchain with Plenum. This is a remix EP that I just kind of recently discovered. It's on Hyvern Discs out of Spain. It's 5 songs and 35 minutes. And it's actually a remix of a 2018 release that was industrial techno, I guess, by an artist called Interchain. So, which I'm totally new to completely. I've never really heard of this artist before, and I don't think I have a lot of things on Hyvern Discs either from Spain. So, but it's really cool EP. It's kind of IDM, mix of different beats and grooves. Probably my favorite is the title track Plenum, which is remixed by John Talbot, and also the opening track We Love Peace, which is remixed by Kate NV Remix. Which is a totally fun, out there kind of creepy circus flute vibe going on. Again, this is another EP that kind of sounds like a movie score, some of the tracks. So definitely something to pick up and check out. It's only 5 songs and 35 minutes, and it's quite a varied mix. So that's my number 9, which is Interchain Plenum. Number 8, I'm going to go with something else that's also a little IDM-ish, Interstellar Funk. And this one is Interstellar Funk with Robert Valera. So it's a collabo, and it's called Devil's Juice EP on Artificial Dance. Short one, 4 songs, only 18 minutes. And Interstellar Funk is, I believe, a Dutch artist, Ulf van Elden, and who's been putting out releases since 2013. I'm sure I have some by him before, I think probably on Clone or something like that. He has also released on Rush Hour and Deck Mental, Dutch labels. And this one is actually on his own label, Artificial Dance. It's a mixed bag of synthwave, acid, and techno. and really soaring synth lines, let's say, on Klangen. The last track of the EP. The opening track, Surge, is quite unique as well, with squelching synth lines. Those would be my two favorite tracks of the EP. And I also like the green album artwork as well. So I got that on Bandcamp. That's kind of a recent find for me, but check it out. Interstellar Funk, Robert Valera, Devil's Juice on Artificial Dance. Number 7 is the highest ranking metal release on this list this time, and surprisingly a little bit to me that it kind of ranked above the Warbringer, but it's interesting nonetheless, and it's quite well received this year too, which is the latest Necrot album, Mortal. So I almost did like a death metal vocal right there for that. So Necrot, Mortal on Tank Crimes. What can you say with these guys? They're still killing the game. Their last album was amazing too in 2017, the Blood Offerings album, which I think I have on CD and vinyl. I haven't got this one yet on CD or vinyl. I probably will. It's probably going to be a little pricey though, but it's 7 songs, only 7 songs of modern death metal from Necrot, and they do it well. I'm not as into death metal Cookie Monster vocals as I was at one point, but I find that probably after a year or two of listening to death metal, you're kind of over the shock and fun of that kind of vocal style. But the music overall is amazing, and it's not completely overwhelmed by the vocals. So in terms of my likability here, this is a group from Oakland, California. They and this is only their second album, actually. The first one from 2017 was their first album. So lots to come from this band for sure. Let's see, did I pick any of my favorites? I would say overall the album, sometimes it's so well produced, it reminds me a little bit of later, more recent Slayer a little bit. It's kind of like of a heavier, slower, heavier mid-tempo version of Slayer. Some standout tracks for me are Sinister Will and the opening track, Your Hell. So I would give this probably a 7 or 8 out of 10. It's my number 7 in the top 20 right now of the year. Number 6, I'm going to go with Noor 1, Noor1, and the release AYM on Modal Analysis from Greece. Again, always one of my favorite labels. I have a bunch of the vinyl that they've put out. I don't have this one vinyl yet. I think it might only be digital at this point. It's 51 minutes long and it's 4 songs. So they're definitely pushing more towards an album format than EP format, which is nice to see. It's ambient noise, lots of depth and complexity though. To it, it's quite interesting with how it builds in some rhythmic beats and noise too after the 13-minute point of the last song, I would say, Zampon. So no other real info about this artist, Noor 1. Could be somebody we already know from the label or from the Greek experimental techno scene. I guess we'll find out eventually, but for now it's my number 6, Noor 1, AYM on Modal Analysis. Number 5, I'm going with an artist that's pretty well known in the techno scene. I'm just checking. Is he from Greece? I'm not sure. Psych. I'm going with Psych on Opal Lake on Non, which is a Spanish techno label. Psych puts out lots of cool stuff, and I like all of the stuff, really. It's really well done. It's very minimal, yet driving, good quality techno. He doesn't disappoint on this one either. It's 4 tracks. So like a 4-track single, 23 minutes in total. And it's minimal yet intricate. It has, snappy snares, kind of like Plastic Man Spastic on one of the tracks, Belterre. I would say actually all the four tracks are all unique, somewhat slightly different. So it's not like you're getting an EP of same stuff. Opal Lake is probably one of my faves on the EP with its brooding synth notes and a great deep tom drum. Biting Nails and Outline are also good too. Psych is from Spain. Surprise, surprise. He's on Non. He also put out 2 really good albums in recent years too. In 2019, he put out Time Foundation and a moment before in 2014 as well. So you can tell the guy puts a lot of extra thought and quality into his techno, and this EP delivers on all that. He's also got stuff on Semantica, Mode Evolver, Modulars, all those great labels. So I'm picking Psych Opal Lake on Non for my number 5. So rounding out the top 5 here as we go, wrap this video up. Robert Bergman is my number 4, and he's kind of a late addition to this list, but I'm glad I jumped on it and crossed this into the list. It's on Lies. It's a self-titled EP by Robert Bergman. This guy is kind of known as the Brewmaster General because he runs the Brew label out of Amsterdam. And this is a great slab of twisted techno, industrial, experimental grooves. Tracks, I believe, they're all good. I guess if I had to pick one, I'd go with What's on Your Mind, because I'm just kind of a sucker for that 808 cowbell tom sound that he's got on it, but sick grooves all around. This could have been even maybe a number 1 or number 2 of the year, but there's something a little stronger, I think, hitting at the number 1 spot. Robert Bergman's self-titled EP. This is Lies 149, and that's definitely a 10 out of 10. I want to get that on vinyl. I only have it on digital at this point. Number 3, I'm going with Nick Klein, New York-based experimental techno artist. He's released on Lies before and Bank and some other labels, and always an interesting fellow to check out. In fact, I had to cheat a little bit for number 3. I put 2 EPs by Nick Klein because he came out with 2 in 2020, and I really couldn't choose one over the other so much. They're both very interesting, very fun deals. So the first one is No Shortage of Rope on Alter. It's 7 songs, 35 minutes. And the second is Actor Network Theory on Ideal, 5 songs, 35 minutes. So these are all following up. His came out in 2019, including Lee, L-I. He's Nick Klein's got a lot of humor in his both in his material and his song titles. Quirky electronics for sure. The No Shortage of Rope EPs, varied, noisy, cranky, all in the right way. All tracks are interesting, including the rather hilarious ambient closer FrenchProperty.com. I like Bedsore Acid is great. Over Before You Noticed is also great, very dance floor friendly. The noisiness of Sitting in the Grass is great. A Bundle of Some Speakers is great. Awesome EP. That's the No Shortage of Rope EP. The second EP that he also put out this year, which I'm combining them into number 3 here of my choice, is Actor Network Theory. Also quirky. Quickly grows on you after 1 or 2 listens. I love the Every Move for the Monitor is probably one of my fave songs in that one. Also Spider and Brown Powder. Tail Eating is also great, noisy, distorted drum track. So I'd recommend both these EPs definitely for kicks. Also for mixing, there's some cool kind of off-kilter dance floor stuff here if you're an experimental style DJ. So Nick Klein, 2 EPs, No Shortage of Rope, and Actor Network Theory. Thanks, Nick, for the 2020 releases. He probably had more than those 2, but those 2 are definitely in my list. So number 2, I'm going back to that Detreaty label that put out so much in 2020, cassettes, releases, etc. We had Carl Cave earlier in the top 20, but number 2, I slotted in a split EP that they released. So 2 artists, you got another 2 for here, 2 for 1, Mind Matter and Iron Court. Neither of one I've really heard of that much before, but you're getting both. In both cases, you're getting brilliant classic EBM industrial synth. And I probably might prefer the Mind Matter the most, mostly because it has some vocals, has a faded vocals in the background, slightly more hazy lo-fi production. But all the tracks on this release are great. I think at one point I was going to be lower on the list, and then I quickly had to move it higher on the list, even though it came out in such a late time of year. But I had picked it up earlier in the month, and it came out kind of early December 2nd, 2020. So it quickly went in my Bandcamp cart, as a lot of stuff on that label does. But this one stands out even better than the Carl Cave, I'd say. They're both great. And there's other good stuff too in that label. So that's my number 2, Mind Matter and Iron Court. It's a split release. And now, finally, number 1. So we can wrap this video up. going with this release that I just got on vinyl. So I can actually show off some props. Schweffelgelb, of course, the duo from Berlin. They never disappoint. They don't have a lot of releases, actually. This one's on City Tracks. They had the other one on Fleisch a few years ago, 2017, so 3 years ago. This one is 4 tracks, 22 minutes of jackin' industrial goodness, EBM style. They actually describe their music as techno body music rather than EBM, electronic body music. But all 4 tracks are standout. They all get multiple plays. I'm glad I got the vinyl, get the digital as well. I can't really pick one of the 4 that's better than the other. I think all 4 are really great for at this point. And I've been a fan of them since, I guess it's 2016 or 2017 release that they did on Fleisch as well. So, which I have noticed has been released on Spotify, their earlier stuff now, looking like it's 2020, but it's earlier releases. This one is their 2020 release, and it's also my number 1 pick overall for the whole year. So props to anybody who sat through the whole video. I'll be posting up the list on other platforms at some point, but thanks everybody for tuning in to my late night session here of top 20 picks for 2020. It's been quite a journey and a hell of a hellish year. Let's hope for a much better year next year and even more music coming out, and maybe even be able to see some of these artists either perform or DJ, etc. So if you like the video, please hit the like and hit the subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.